the students or those kids in the rural areas and the kids that are in the urban areas, or different schools that could have been bridged with SA Connect, launched on time, digital dividend addressed timelessly, and making sure that the factories in all these provinces are producing tablets. Let me give you an example. If you're talking about the 12 million learners, these 12 million learners are moving. They move from one grade to the next. If we said as a country, each learner that enters kindergarten or primary school gets a tablet, that factory will be churning. That factory will be pumping and pushing continuously. People will be employed for as long as we have children, for as long as we have society, for as long as we have community. Because science, technology is of no use if it cannot benefit the community, if it cannot benefit the society. So all these things must develop us. So looking at the education system, we probably are not too far off. We can still catch up. Because I have seen kids when they talk about studying at home, it's different to kids at the different schools. It's not the same thing. One kid was telling me they send us questions on WhatsApp. I said, is there any lecture? He said, no, there's no lecture. We must go to school on that Monday and Wednesday and Friday. Then we'll receive our questions. The other schools, they set up their laptops or iPad, they get connected, and bang, the teacher is online, they are interacting, the period is done, and then next teacher goes on. It's done online, but the others receive in WhatsApp. Do you equate the amount of information exchange on WhatsApp and where there is this interaction?
Well, do you even equate the degree obtained in 2020 to a degree obtained in 1995? Because it looks like it's an open book examination now. Everybody can, I don't even know how they make sure that the questions are not, I could literally cut and paste. Mr. Mkhwanazi, think about this for a second.
Sure.
The cost of data and connectivity.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Masila is talking about the cost of the hardware itself.
Yes.
As far as I see, we are
Of public enterprise. The reason it integrated there so that it can get that integration to the communication and digital technologies, the department, because it's championed the ICT sector. So with that, actually they're supposed to move in terms of rolling out the broadband and all that. As Mamasile is talking about, actually, even my son, when there was a shutdown, we were level 5, nobody could move and go anywhere. My son continued like he was going to classes, like his periods was like he was changing teachers. Now we could see his teachers and everyone and how we interact with his teacher at home. Obvious, unfortunate, I lost my study at the time because I had to squat somewhere because he was using it. But
and a lot of money.
yes,
snacks
but
endless drink.
But to me, being somebody who grew up in the rural area, and let's even using a computer, only started using a computer at university for that matter. I look at that and thinking, what is happening to the kids in the rural area, in that remote area, in those villages, which we grew up, all of us in the main. And if he can continue like this, those kids, possible they're at home and they are being sent to fetch water, to do this, to cook, to do this, that and that at home without even studying. So obviously they are losing time and they're going to lose on their education. So this issue of connectivity is important. I like, because I think as you look at COVID-19, government, Department of Health, they use the connectivity, the teleco, to actually get the data of people. We all get the statistics of people who are infected anywhere. The Minister of Science and Technology was talking, Dr. Blade Nzimande was talking to say, actually today you can tell each and every, you can geolocate each area of South Africa and tell how many people are there. Because the reason why we had to know how many people are infected, how many people are recovering, how many people, unfortunately, they ended up losing their life through this COVID. So we have this data. It might not be as accurate as obvious. We know that if you look and you talk to other people, they will say, yes, maybe the statistic is all over the show. But the beauty about it is that we ended up on something we never thought we can do in a very short space of time. So CSIR managed to create this platform. We have cloud services today. They created this, and then the telcos which were involved, they were able. And then the data was then made free to connect and send this data from all over we have. I say, for example, myself, I grew up at home. There was not a phone, even a landline. But my mother, I do communicate with my mother on a cell phone today. You know, in the same area, in the same house, but I never had the privilege of having a phone at home other than moving to a next shop where we're buying, and then you can go and make a call, or somebody who's going to phone you will tell you the time you will phone, you'll go there. So, but now you have a phone, even a grandmom, even all our grandfathers, even the kids who are in the rural, they have connectivity. So the mobile phone, the last point you talk about it on the hardware, here in South Africa, here in Durban, here at Dube Trade Port, which is one of our economical zone, there is actually a factory which is actually assembling phones.
The Mara
Yes,
phones,
the Mara
which
phone,
the president
which is an
presided over.
African phone, which is African developed, is an African thing, which we need to champion more of that. As Baba Masilele is saying, we can actually replicate that all over. What I was proud to see there, it's all kids. I didn't even see a single boy in that, well, if I say boy, young man, in that factory. It's all young ladies in that factory. I got so proud about it because we always think technology space is male dominant. But this factory is assembling cell phones, and these are females,
Young
girls. Yes.
Before I want to ask Dr. Halani to talk to me about how he feels we have used ICT not to help the artists, to enable the artists to continue doing their work. But while he mulls over that, Dr. Masilela, one of the criticisms I have of our country is how the departments in charge of technology seem to be getting shuffled all the time. It moves here, telecommunications, post and telecommunications, communications, digital technologies. There's been more shuffling probably in that space over the past 10 years than any other cluster. Am I being too hard on South Africa then?
No, not at all. Actually, one of the things that happened is, as we're busy shifting things around, COVID hit us. So the government was looking at integrating broadband infraco with, they were looking to make sure that there is efficiency in services. So infraco, your CETA, there was a big plan to bring these entities together. And COVID hit. And what did they do? They packed this thing. And the only time in government we had stability was in the era of Dr. Matsepe Kasaburi. There was stability in the department. We knew that this is the Department of Telecommunications, and there was policy formulations. There was direct deliberations. Even though to get an act in place, the whole legislation process was 18 months. Already we were discussing with Dr. Matsepe that 18 months is too long for a period to put any policy in place. We need to shorten it. And she understood it. I can remember somewhere in 2012, outside a policy, she said she is now pronouncing for a central registry. She said we need to have consolidated services. We cannot have pockets of so.za, the org.za, net.za. These things must be consolidated. We must develop a central registry. And this is how we were created. A dream that came true, coming from the the ECT Act, the Economic and Transaction Act, we were born out of that. ZEDNA came in, but when ZEDNA came in, already we were in existence. So we accommodated ZEDNA as a regulator to regulate the services of domain names in the country, to make sure that internet is free, internet is open, and it's available to everybody. So these shifts, coming back to your question, these changes have taken away the progress that we'll be realizing today. If only we could stabilize the movements, these changes. Even an earthquake in its own, it moves slowly before it shifts. It's not very fast, so let's learn from that. But I'm not taking away from the pole vaulting while saying that.
No. I'm going to talk, when we close, we're going to be closing. How well has South Africa done in utilizing ICTs to sustain service delivery? That's the question. We're talking to Lucky Masila, the CEO of ZA Central Registry, and also Registry Africa. Mandla Mkhwanazi is the Public Sector ICT Forum chairperson. He's digital business lead at Transnet, of course, but he's here in his capacity as Public Sector ICT Forum. But we're also wanting to move, before we talk about what lessons we can take into the future in wrapping up. Dr. Halani, you're an artist, you're a recording artist, you're a scholar, you're a cultural worker in general. I always feel bad because we whistle your songs in the shower and we think we know you, all the artists are like that. They sing one song, it unites the whole country. Jerusalem united the whole world during lockdown. But the artists and ICT and lockdown, do you feel you were even a consideration in the public sector space?
I think this is the perfect space to really raise that question. I have participated in a number of fora where this was raised, even the one that was hosted by the Honorable Minister Mthethwa on this subject. But each time I raise the point I'm going to raise now, I feel I'm raising it to a wrong audience and wrong audience, basically. But I think this is just a perfect audience. I mean, these are two powerhouses we've got in the country that can actually solve Africa's problem, not South Africa's problem. Last year, as we were preparing to come here, I raised this with Baba Masilela. And I'm happy he talked about two fundamental things. One was that we need to innovate as a country when he spoke about tablets and all of that. And secondly, he spoke about the central registry, platform. I'm looking at, if you go on your phones now quickly and you type YouTube, this is what is written. And it links very well with what Bob Mkhwanazi and Bob Masilela are saying. They say YouTube is an American, and that's very important. It's claiming intellectual property. It says YouTube is an American online video sharing platform headquartered in San Bruno, California. And the two champions here are raising the fundamental question. Why don't we have our own? Now, everybody's excited now. Hey, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on this platform. That who owns those platforms? Now, 3 PayPal former employees, the following: Chad Haley, Steve Chan, and Jawed Karim. They created the service in February 2005, not so long ago. The following year, in 2006, they sold it for $1.65 billion US dollars. Now, if they could do that, and our artists are now lining up with the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture asking for relief funds. Yet these are the people who generated works that are housed on this platform that was sold to YouTube without them getting anything for $1.65 billion in 1 year, US dollars. Now, the Central Registry and yourselves, sir, you're the only people now who can really solve this thing with the centrality of the registry. One Africa-based platform of sharing videos so that we can begin to dictate terms to the world and say you get access to the works of our continent from our own central registry. And we determine the prices. Let me tell you what the frustration is at the moment. People are happy to be seen on Facebook, on YouTube, and all of that.
Instagram.
You know, all of that. Do you know even all our meetings that we have on all these Zooms and all of that? I mean, where are they deposited? They are not all deposited in our, but these are our meetings, even the parliament, sessions. But now, this is the tricky part. Artists release work. They say to download one track, you pay R3.40. Now, you think you're talking. You're not talking. Because if one track is R3.40, the nominal unit of currency in the States is $1. Now, $1, how many times does R3.50 go into $1?
It disappears.
It disappears. So that's why after you have downloaded 25,000 times the downloads, you still get 0.00000012. So you need to download, to have so many downloads to get you to $1. And that's why our people here, in spite of the fact that they're famous and all that, they all die poor. The answer must come from these two powerhouses. Because we need to be able to say, this is the price we set for our work. But because we're setting the price because the works of the entire continent are housed in, for example, Registry Africa.
I see something online. Which says, why are you watching Netflix while you could own it? So you are asking us, why are we enjoying YouTube, Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp? I actually said good riddance when they said you can't access it for free, because I felt I'm tired of Africans wanting freebies. But you are saying we should be saying, why can't we not just buy Netflix but build our own? Because America has 300 million people, California even smaller, which is where these companies are, but Africa has over 1 billion people, so we could build something substantive. But now, I want you to, and I know you don't deposit your music on YouTube.
No, I don't. There are two, there's a company
You've been recording for more than 20 years.
Yeah, no, I don't. But there are people who, the company called Zulu Boys. We set them on litigation. They put about 6 of my videos on that. And then I happen to have somebody who stays in Sunning Hill, who is now working at YouTube. And on the back end. And I phoned him at about 4 o'clock in the morning because at the time we were able to talk. And I said, can you check my work? How much has it generated for this Zulu Boy company? Pula alone had generated 93,000 rands. Which didn't come to me.
Because he loaded the video.
He loaded the
YouTube.
video and he put his own accounts behind the work.
But the essence of what you're saying, if we can bring it home, that the Masilela, because we should always take this as a lesson. Even when we're using the technology to deliver services, we should make sure that the economics of it all does not continue to exploit Africans, as the Takhalani is saying. In wrapping up this discussion, what would you say, but I'll come to you last. Let me start with Mandla Mkonazi. What would you say the lessons, listening to Dr. Khalani here, listening to Tata Masila, and knowing what you know from the vantage position at Transnet and the public sector ICT forum, what would you say the key 2 lessons that we can take into the future? 2 or 3 lessons are?
The lessons, even what Doctor has just mentioned, even for the chart, we have what you call government chart, which is a South African base, which government is using currently with COVID, with the statistics and all that communication. Obviously, there is a case between them and Facebook today for exactly the same point is raising, that you get this super or this multi-million dollar organization, muscling all the small ones, especially us as a continent without a protection, without enough protection. If I can put, there is a protection from, but there is not enough. Dr. Tlakula, I think, is also in Parliament. He was also trying to get Facebook also to come and address Parliament around the issues of terms and condition of WhatsApp. So we do need that. I like at some point when the president announced that he's going to bring Jack Ma to South Africa at some point. I think he did. Again, it's an implementation issue. What I like about it is that I thought when he comes, he will actually tell us how did he created Alibaba. Alibaba is a huge platform, internet platform
He
for
hired
China,
40 thieves.
which I thought, to me, that's why we're taking lessons from there so that we can build a South African and African Alibaba, if you like, which
Are
could have
you-
been a
are
platform
you,
now.
Are you kidding me right
Yeah.
now? You think Jack Ma is going to come here and teach you how to build an Alibaba?
Well, that's why it's
I
a
mean, how much
lessons
faith-
learned.
But I hope we don't move from California to Shanghai now,
Eh,
because that could easily happen. And I'm trivializing.
No, sure,
But
no.
it could happen, right?
But on a serious note, I think the idea was good, but again, maybe we couldn't capitalize on it or involve the right people. I think you mentioned sometimes we don't involve the right people around this. When he was here, I would have expected him to meet especially the like of ICT public sector ICT Forum and talk to them, and then so that we can get these lessons learned and how we build our own thing. And maybe with him mentoring or whatever, there's nothing wrong somebody mentoring or showing or sharing the lessons learned with us. But we need to build our own. We need to come to that point where we can be proud. Recently, Minister of International, Dr. Pando, he just mentioned when he was in Paris that he had that coffee, DJ Coffee. He can actually fill the Wembley Stadium. That's the export of South Africa. Again, as you're saying, I'm not sure. Possible Coffee is getting something, but as a South African, how much is it coming back to be poured into the arts and the development and all that? The platform, how about the kids who are learning music today, who are developing music? And for him, and I think also, not only him, I think we also had the Dome here, which we had also Novest also filling the Dome. I think they do that. We have our export, Trevor Noah. We have all these export. The problem we have, we're not capitalizing from an economical point of view to bring it home. Somebody else is actually earning more bucks, more dollar on behalf of us without that coming to South Africa or even the continent itself. I think this is where, Victor, we are failing.
Well, I
as a
suppose
country.
Black Coffee can fill Wembley and
Yeah.
be paid $100,000 for the performance, but the video
Yeah.
goes to YouTube,
That's-
and YouTube in perpetuity will make $100 million from that. That's why he can make some money. But the essence is ownership for
Exactly.
perpetuity.
Exactly.
Because YouTube will be inherited by Americans, and it'll keep. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
If we can build our own, let's do that. So let's not blame the Americans or the
No,
Chinese.
sure.
Let's say what's wrong with us,
Yeah.
that we are not learning to build something that we can own when we have the content that the world is looking for. The reason Netflix is coming in and recruiting African filmmakers, including his daughter, to generate content is because our stories are the most exciting. They are the Wakanda and the reality of the future. Anyway, Dr. Masilela, your closing remarks here on what lessons we can take into the future. I wanted to give the last word to Dr. Khalani because he's going to perform. So let me hear from your
Yeah.
viewpoint, and he can tell us what he's going to perform after this.
Look, what we can take, starting with Dr. Khalani's concern on content, we already, as Africans, now I'm moving out of South Africa, and I'm talking as an African. As Africans, we said we need to harvest our content. We need to archive our content. And then we started talking about us. We raised our hand as Registry Africa. We informed the African Union. We said, we are going to assist in establishing a foundation that will work towards developing African content. I think that is going to be that university for our music. The other thing that we have not been able to properly come to grasp with is what we call OTT.
Yeah.
It's never been regulated, by the way. And OTT is your Facebook, it's your WhatsApp, it's your TikTok, and they don't have infrastructure, they don't build anything. They build their services on top of existing infrastructure and they stream. So, how do you control them? I can tell you, we left that chapter, we said, to be decided. But now we need to be deliberate about this. This is why when WhatsApp said, I will decide on your content, how I handle it. And then there was this big scare. Then our own advocate, Pensy, said, look, now South Africa, we also must defend the information of our own citizens. We are too late. Already Europeans, in the space that we work in, we are required to protect information of European citizens that we handled. If we do not handle that information in the right manner, I will be serving 25 years in prison, at least, as a CEO of the company. So the GDPR is not an easy thing. So we have POPI Act, we complied with. For the continent with the Malibu Act, but we need to push our own. Finally, now this is content, this is on policy. We need to speed up the legislation process. It needs to be slowed. It cannot be 18 months anymore. We need to bring it closer. 6 months, if we are just off the target, we could be talking 8 to 12 months, but it cannot be 18 months. No more again. We need to bring research back into the country. All the things that we've spoken of, they need to be seen in reality, in improving the lives of our citizens. SA Connect must become a reality. The issue of the digital dividend must become a reality. People must migrate from this space that they're currently in and enable for us to maximize on 5G. And because 5G is going to be 6G and will still be having our... By the way, there are some areas that still have edge. We sat in some place yesterday with my CFO and we were struggling to get proper signal because we had edge. I was like, I thought edge should have been done away with. We are, as a country, we have all the resources, but we're too slow to act. We do not have confidence and trust in ourselves. That we need to take into us. We have to rely on our youth. We have to rely on our research competencies, capabilities, and then we will grow as a country. I thank you and happy Africa Day, and I hope across the entire continent we are celebrating and also making sure that we're drumming for peace.
Okay. Why
Silencing
don't
the
you
guns.
give us one paragraph in Kiswahili? Because it's one language that I know you don't want to lose. You spend a lot of time in Tanzania. And Kiswahili is the language of the African Union. I don't think we should let you forget your vocabulary. What message can you give us in Kiswahili? Or do you want to think about it?
Ninawasalimia wa Afrika wote, ninawaambia kwamba leo ni siku ambao sisi wote wa Afrika lazima tushikane, tuwe pamoja, tuendelee mbele na Afrika na kila maelezo ya Afrika. Nashukuru.
Okay,
Asante sana.
now you got to tell us what you just said.
Somebody must translate.
Oh, no, not me. I'm gonna mess it up. I picked up some lines, phrases, but no.
I'm
Okay,
mobilizing the Africans to
Right.
come together on this day that we need to join hands to build
Right.
an Africa that we all want.
All right. Thank you very much. Ndatohalani, every time you perform, I feel like I'm going to school. What do you have in your hand now, right now? What is that? You know, this is embarrassing. What is that instrument you have in your hand?
This is an udu. It's a Nigerian female drum.
Okay, female drum.
Yes.
How does it get to female?
Now, its shape
Ah,
represents fertility.
okay. I get it.
That's what it is.
I
Its
get
shape represents fertility and motherhood. So, as you can see, it's if you can just hold this for me.
And you can't suppress it. Wow. Wow. Okay. Now we're going to have about 20 minutes of that kind of world-class performance by yourself. Tell us, I know drums do their own talking, but when we listen to your next performance, what would you be saying in a few words?
Well, first is that I I had to bring the finest of African drums
Right.
there.
Right.
You see, so that we don't speak like this and then contradict ourselves immediately by using, the German talker and
Right.
and Manil.
Right.
So, on the extreme right, if you're facing those drums,
Yeah.
that's a Ugandan drum.
I hope somebody's panning on. Is somebody panning there and showing us the drums?
Yeah, the one on the right with
Yeah, but are we streaming the picture of the okay? So
Yeah.
carry on.
So that one is a Ugandan drum, and then you've got just in front with blue ropes.
Right.
Then you've got the big djembe drum.
Right.
There's
That's
a small
West African.
West Africa. There's a small djembe drum sitting right on the floor, but the big one it's that one.
Right.
And then this one, I was carrying that drum because I had to look like I had gone to do a ceremony. So that is a Zimbabwean ngoma.
Did you carry weapons in the drum?
Um,
or is it classified information?
No, I didn't go to the Truth Commission. So, so the one on top there that looks like the moon,
Right.
that one, it's Sabah. It's Senegal, Togo, Nigeria, Ghana.
Okay.
Salif Keita, when he plays, that's Africa's biggest bottom decibels drum, but
Right.
it's made of a calabash, a dried gourd.
Yeah.
That one.
So that's like a pumpkin or a
Yeah,
a melon.
That's right. When
Yeah.
I was performing in Senegal, I didn't take any of these drums here. I said, how do you take drums when you go to an African country where you will
Ah.
find drums that are
Right.
just much more than. So that one, there are two of them. Normally where I put one on the left and one on the right. So that gives you the biggest thud.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Sabah. And then I've got a talking drum, which is right on the floor there. It's a slim drum that I used for the clarion call for ZSCR last year.
Yes.
That one, when we talk technology
Yes.
and communication, that drum,
Mm.
one village used to communicate with the next through messages from the
Right.
from the royalty,
Right.
exchanging fraternal greetings and also signaling if there's going to be any war or enemies attacking.
Right.
So that's the talking drum.
You are going to start with that. I mean, you want to start with that. You're going to start with that.
So
I've got the majority vote here. You're starting with that. Okay.
yeah,
All
so
right.
we're going to be doing that. So I'm going to be, we just want to play with a backtrack, but I'm just going to sort of embellish with those drums over there, so that then we've got a much bigger sound.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Dr. Selo Halane, but also for Dadema Silela Lakima Silela, the CEO of ZACR and Registry Africa. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then Mr. Mandam Kwanazi here from the Public Sector ICT Forum. Let's get the Public ICT Forum. Let's acknowledge our host at the Freedom Park here, second year running. We appreciate your hospitality. And this is a special place, the place of spirits. all the spirits of freedom fighters and people who died in honor of freedom, fighting for freedom and liberty from pre-colonial times to current. We really appreciate what you're doing for our heritage, and we like what stories people can learn from here. It is a very important part in this capital of our nation. We appreciate your hospitality. Thank you very much. We're going to enjoy that. I don't think I need to say anything more after the drums because I'm going to spoil it. So this is it from me. But enjoy the performance by Dr. Selogalani. Starting with the talking drum. Listen to the talking drum and how the calls are made. Thank you very much. We are out.
And the Sabah.
Oh, Africa, Israel to my boy,
Yes.
Africa, oh, Africa,
Thank you.
Israel to my boy, Africa, oh, Africa, Israel to my boy, Africa, oh, Africa, Israel to my boy, Africa. Oh, Africa, Israel to my boy, Africa, 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 Nisongorila, Meyanga, Africa, Itobuya, Melamani, Ungarili, Musulila, Butino Sisi, Bami, oh, Africa, Israel to my boy, Africa, oh, Africa, Israel to so Africa, oh, Africa, Israel to my boy, Africa, oh, Africa, oh, Israel to my boy, Africa, Musulina, Africa, Africa, Musukala, Sogoma, Pagama, Africa, oh, Itrashase, Lekile, Wotanagiti, Tula Mama, La Loca, Africa, Umulamba, hey, Africa, Rado de you, dado de you. Written there, written there, written there, written there, don't know. Rado de Tumamina, Tumamina, Epakatene, Tumamina, Epakatene, Yolo, Spudamakabane, Ano Swallow, Valentone Po, Batu Pegile, Spudamakabane, Ano Tando, Batu Pegile, Epagatene, Ole, Tumamina, Makabane, Ano Swallow, Kubatu Pegile, Epagatine, Makabane, Ano Tando, Valentone Po, Kubatu Pegile, Lena, Ano Tando, Watu Pegile, and Pagatini, Fudamakabane, Ano Swallow, Watu Pegile, Batingisizo, Tumamina, 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 Ano Swallow, Ano Tando, Kubatu Pegile, Spudamakabane, Ano Tando, Kubatu Pegile, Batingisizo, Lenale, Ano Swallow, Anentone Po, Watu Pegile, Kabane, Ano Tando, Watu Pegile, Epagatini, Lenale, Tumamina, Lenale, Ano Swallow, Anentone Po, Pegile, Ano Tando, Anentone Po, Imbusizo.
last track.
Tumamina, tumamina, epakatini, tumamina, tumamina, epakatini, yolo, sifuna makabane, anosela, banantonipo, kubatupeki, sifuna makabane, anothando, kubatupekile, ephakathini, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, tumamina, makabane, anoswelo, batupekile, ephakathini, sifuna makabane, anothando, anenhlonipho, batupekile, lena le, 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 makabane, anothando, kubatupekile, emphakathini, sifuna makabane, anoswelo, kubatupekile, badingisizo, tumamina, 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 anoswelo, anothando, kubatupekile, sifuna makabane, anothando, kubatupekile, ingisizo, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, anothando, batupekile, emphakathini, lena le, lena le, tumamina, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, lena le, anoswelo, anenhlonipho, kubatupekile, anothando, anenhlonipho, kubatingusizo,